Yes, sir.
Okay. Good morning, all. Since there is a gap, I think 2, 3 weeks gap in the training, yes. First, I'd like to give a quick overview, and then we'll start the next concept. I think enhancements. Before that, I'll give a quick overview of SAP ABAP, and we'll try to create one object, right? So, first, what is SAP? SAP is a ERP product. So, ERP is Enterprise Resource Planning software. There are different enterprise resource planning softwares in the market. So SAP is one of the ERP product, right? So what is ERP? ERP helps to run the entire business. Like it will integrate the different business functions, right? It will improve the performance of the business, right? So it will act as single source of data, single source of truth. Okay. The entire organizational data will be maintained in ERP. All the daily transactions, whatever the transactions happening in the organization, all will be maintained in ERP software. So SAP is one of the ERP software. There are other ERP softwares like Microsoft, Oracle, and there are different other companies. But SAP has like highest share of ERP product. Like if you observe in the industry, more than 60% of the ERP applications will be SAP applications only. Okay. So SAP is most reliable ERP software than others. So what is OLTP? There are two kinds of systems. If you take okay, there are two types of systems: OLTP systems and OLAP systems. So what is OLTP system? Online transactional processing system. We have to interact. Okay, OLTP means online transactional processing system. So it is to create the daily transactions, right? So what is the example for OLTP system? Can you give me one example for OLTP system?
SAP ERP.
Any other real world example? Can you give me?
Banks.
Yeah.
Bank details. Employee details.
Who's this talking? Can you, okay. No. See, bank details, employee details. This comes under data, right? What kind of data it is? Is it master data or transactional data, right? So if you take
Master
bank
data.
system, right? If you take bank system, so where they create daily transactions, right? Your withdrawals, deposits, anything. When you go to the bank, a bank clerk will create a deposit or withdrawal, right? So that system we can call it as OLTP system, where they create transactions, right? If you go to any shopping mall, there will be one billing counter where they generate the bills. That's one kind of OLTP system where they generate the transactions, right? Obviously, yeah, SAP ERP is also one of the ERP system. Okay, what is OLAP? Online analytical processing system. What is the use of online analytical processing system?
It will
Storing the
store
data.
the data.
OLTP also stores the data, right?
It stores the historical data.
Yeah, that is the difference. So OLTP stores only operational data. Operational means most recent data, right? But OLAP stores the historical data for analytical purpose to analyze the data, right? To analyze the business data, right? To analyze the sales of the company, right? To analyze the expenses of the company, right? Or for future forecast, like to analyze what is the product they need to manufacture in future, right? So what is the product they need to manufacture more in the month of July, right? To do that analysis, what they need? They need historical data. They'll analyze last 5 years data, right? To find the product which is having huge sales in a specific month, right? Depends on that input, depends on that output, they'll plan for the next year, right? They'll plan manufacturing for the next year, right? If they manufacture wrong product in the wrong month, what will happen? Loss for the company, right? So they need to analyze what is the product that is having huge sales in a specific period. Then they can manufacture those kind of products and they can earn more profits by analyzing the data, right? For that, they need historical data, right? Last 10 years data or last 5 years data, right? So why don't we keep the data in OLTP system itself? Why we use a different system for analytical purpose?
It will change frequently.
To improve the performance of the OLTP system. Okay. If you do analysis also in OLTP system, what will happen? It will have a huge impact on the transactions, right? One side you are doing transactions, in the other side you are trying to analyze the data, right? So the system resources may not be adequate and the transaction may not happen properly, right? So transactions are very important. So we should not hamper the transactions. We should not impact the transactions, right? So that's why we keep a separate system, OLAP system, and we copy all the daily transactions. If you observe here, we are going to move all the daily transactions to OLAP system, right? Daily, we are going to move all the transactions to OLAP system, right? And we are going to do analysis on the data here in the OLAP system, not in the OLTP system. OLTP system we are using only for transactions, right? Not for analysis. Okay. So in OLTP system, we store only operational data, not the historical data. Operational data means last 4 years data, last 5 years data. Remaining data, they used to archive, right? They take some backup and archive it. Okay, clear? How this data will be, how these transactions will be moved to OLAP system from OLTP system. Daily, after business hours, which process will execute?
ETL.
What is ETL? Extraction, transformation, and loading. Extract the data, transform in the sense if there is any data errors, correct the errors, and load the data into OLAP system. Okay, this process will happen every day after business hours. Okay, for that we use the ETL tools. So what is the example for OLAP system in SAP? SAP BW. Okay, so in the recent world we are using SAP DataSphere. Okay, cloud-based analytical application, SAP DataSphere or SAP BW is also example for OLAP system. What is the example for SAP OLTP system? SAP ERP. SAP ERP is itself a OLTP system, right? That can be ECC or S4 HANA. The different versions are there, right? Is everyone clear? Is everyone
Yes,
clear
sir.
on this?
Sir.
Then, so we have already discussed about SAP. It's a ERP product. And what are the different versions of SAP? The previous version is SAP ECC, right? ECC central component, ERP central component, right? So it supports any database. It is database independent. the client can run ECC system on any database. Okay, Oracle, MS SQL Server, DB2, HANA, right? Later, SAP come up with a new version, SAP S4 HANA. So SAP S4 HANA runs only on HANA database. HANA is a SAP's own in-memory database. Okay, HANA is a SAP's own in-memory database. What do you mean by in-memory? How this database is different from the other databases? So in-memory database stores data in the RAM level, right? It can store data in the RAM level also. So whenever you are trying to access the data from database, the data will be accessed from the RAM, not from the hard disk, right? Accessing data from RAM is very faster than accessing data from hard drive or hard disk, right? So can we store data permanently in the RAM?
No.
So when we are going to lose the data in the RAM? When there is a power failure or when you turn off the system, right? Even if you turn off your mobile, all the data in your RAM will be vanished. Where the data permanently stores? The hard drive,
Hard
right?
disk.
So whenever you turn off the device, whatever the data available in the RAM will be vanished. That is same for laptops, servers, or mobiles anywhere. But I am saying that in-memory database, we are going to access data from RAM, right? So we do have a backup database. We do have a backup hard drive. Data will be stored in that hard drive. But whatever the data most frequently we are accessing in the system, we keep the data in the RAM level whenever required, right? Even if there is a power failure, if you lose the data from the RAM, again you can copy the data from hard drive into RAM level. So the SAP applications will access data from the RAM, not from the hard disk, right? It will improve the performance of the data selection, okay? Because RAM is a primary memory, right? So accessing data from the primary memory is faster than the hard drive, okay? So that's why they come up with a new database, HANA database. SAP come up with a new database, HANA database. So they designed S4 HANA to work only on HANA database. All the applications are optimized to run only on HANA database. Okay. In our previous classes, I think we have already discussed about advantages of HANA and ABAP and HANA concepts also like CDS views. So the current version of SAP ERPs, SAP S4 HANA. There are different versions. I think the current version is 2023, right? S4 HANA 2023 version. Next, we'll see the architecture. What is the SAP R3 architecture? What is the architecture of SAP? It's a three-tier architecture, SAP R3 architecture. So we have a presentation server where we use the GUI to send the request and receive the response. The application layer where the application's programs will execute. Whatever the application program logics available, those programs will execute in application layer, right? What is database layer? So database layer stores the data permanently, like in the form of tables, database tables. So this database can be anything. If you take ECC system, previous version of SAP ERP, that is database independent, right? So you can, the customer can use Oracle, HANA, DB2 or MS SQL Server, any database, right? But in the current version of SAP S4 HANA, can we use any database? Can the customer use any database? No, they have to use only HANA database because SAP S4 HANA is optimized only for HANA database, right? So all the customers should go with only HANA database in the SAP S4 HANA, right? So we have three different layers in SAP. Presentation layer is like your GUI, like how you access your Gmail, right? You open one page, there you enter the details and access your Gmail, right? But the where the servers will be available, not in your system, right? Application server will be available somewhere in the United States. Database server might be available somewhere in the Singapore, right? You don't know. So all these three layers are different, right? So as a user, how can you access the system using which layer?
Application layer. Presentation layer.
Presentation.
Presentation layer. Application layer contains only application programs.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in the database layer, it stores the data permanently. Okay. So the every program will contains corresponding tables in the database. Okay. For example, material master program. It contains some specific tables like MARA, MARC, MAKT, right? It will store the data in those corresponding tables whenever you create a material from the presentation layer, right? A program and corresponding tables. When you send a request, depends on the request, it will execute a specific program and it will read the data from specific tables and present it to you. Or if you are trying to save the data, when the user enters the data, a specific program in the application layer will execute it and it will store the data in corresponding tables. Okay. So all these three layers are kept like a separate layer, not in a single system, not in a single server, right? So that if there is any disaster happens, so there is no impact on the other servers. And the other reason is to reduce the load on the system. If you keep all the application server and database system in the same layer, the same server, right? There is a huge impact on the performance. Or if there is any disaster happens, you are going to lose both, right? So to improve the performance, they separated these servers into application layer and database layer. Anyway, presentation layer is GUI, so you can access from anywhere. Okay, if you have that GUI. So what is master data and transactional data? Master data is the data that changes very rarely, like your master data. So what are the customer master data details? Can you give me an example? Can you give me an example for master data?
Aadhaar number.
Customer name, customer phone number, customer email ID, customer address, right? Customer identification number. So these are all the example of master data. These changes very rarely, right? You don't like name, phone number, email, address. No one will change every day, right? This kind of data we call as master data. What about transactional data? Customer
It
transactions,
changed
withdrawals and
frequently.
It
deposits,
changes.
right? Customer transactions like withdrawals, deposits, right? These transactions might happen very regularly or daily, right? So this kind of data we call as transactional data, which changes frequently. Okay. So what is the primary data? Which one is the primary? Master data or transactional data?
Master data.
So first you need to maintain the master data and then you can do the transactions on that master data, right? Without master data, you cannot do any transactions. Without customer ID, you cannot do any transaction on the customer, right? First, you need to create the master data and then you need to do the transactions using that master data. Okay. Next, what is ABAP? ABAP is a fourth generation programming language which we use in SAP to create the new applications or to enhance the standard applications. Okay. So ABAP is a fourth generation programming language which we use to enhance the standard applications or to create the custom applications. Okay. I've already explained about different generations up to fifth generation, right? What are the different options available in each generation of the programming language? ABAP is a fourth generation programming language. And one more thing, there are two versions in SAP S4HANA. If you take SAP S4HANA, there is a cloud version and on-premise version. Okay, there is a cloud version and on-premise version. On-premise in the sense the customer will install in his own server. The customer needs to maintain the server, the SAP server, right? Customer is responsible to maintain the entire SAP server and he has the total control on the system, right? The customer has total control on the S4 HANA system. What is cloud version? Cloud version is like SaaS based service. Like it's like customer have limited control. We have limited customization options. So where the, whoever the customers using SAP S4 HANA Cloud, so SAP recommends to adopt the SAP standard functionality instead of implementing the custom functionality. Okay, so SAP recommends to adopt the SAP standard functionality, right? Adopt the standard functionality in their business instead of doing a lot of customizations, right? So whoever want to limited customization and like whoever don't want to maintain, whoever don't want to take care of their entire servers, right? They'll those kind of customers prefer SAP S4 HANA cloud version, right? It's like subscription based, okay? But whoever want to maintain their own servers, whoever worry about the data security, right? Like whatever the customer they worry about the data security, they go for S4 HANA on-premise edition. Okay. So these are the different data types available in SAP ABAP. Character, number, integer, packed decimal, and floating point. And you can see the conversion mapping. So character to character conversion is allowed, but character to number, integer, packed decimal, and floating point is not allowed, right? And you can see this in the table, whatever the conversions allowed. And these are the different like different like sorry, these are data dictionary objects. So these are the basic keywords which we use in ABAP. So what is that keyword data? What is the keyword data? Tell me why we use data
Use
keyword.
it, use it to create variable.
To define the data objects like variables, work areas, and internal tables, right? Let's create a simple program. So this is called SAP GUI. So by using the SAP GUI, you can access the SAP server. Okay. What is the other alternative to access SAP? By using HANA Studio, or what is the other alternative? Eclipse, right? You can also
Eclipse.
use Eclipse to access the SAP applications. So double click to log in into the server, and you can use your user ID and password to log in into the server. So this is the initial screen. Here, how can you check what is the backend database? Go to System, Status, and here you can check what is the database? HDB. HDB is a HANA database, right? And this is the schema, the database schema they are using for SAP applications. Okay, and this is the application server, host data, right? This is the application server data. It's running on Linux, I think. If you want to know the version, you can check here. ABAP version, ABAP 7.5H. Okay, so this is the version of the SAP system. SAP SAP ABAP version. This is SAP ABAP version. Okay. So what is the transaction code to create any program? What is the transaction code to create the
SC30.
program? SC38 is the transaction code. So how can you access the tables in SAP? SC11 data dictionary, right? So the transaction code is SC11 to access the tables. There you enter the table display. So this is the table, right? And these are the table fields, and every table contains at least one primary key, right? To display the data of the table, click on the contents and click on execute to display the data available in the table. Okay. So where this table actually stores, is it in the application level or database level? Where this
Application.
table, where all the tables are available in only database level, right? All the tables are available in the database layer only. But by using the data dictionary, we're able to access the tables in the by using data dictionary. Okay. So data dictionary acts as the interface, right? To access the database tables, right? Whatever the table you are able to access here, these are all available in database only. Okay. In application, you have only programs, application programs, right? So by using data dictionary interface, we are able to access the database tables, right? So you can create your own tables and you can access the custom table. What is this? What kind of table it is? Mara, is it a custom table or standard table?
Standard table.
Standard table.
Standard table.
Standard
How can
table.
you
Standard.
identify a custom table?
Starting with Z.
Yeah, all the custom objects in SAP will start with either Z or Y. Okay. So if it is starting with Z, you can say it is a custom table. Okay. For example, if you take this Z, Z demo 123, someone created this, but no, didn't maintain any data. So since it is starting with Z, so we can say it's a custom table. Okay. I'll create a simple program in SC38. So enter the transaction code SC38 to open the ABAP editor. So this is called ABAP editor or ABAP workbench where you create the programs. Okay. ZDemo material data. Create the program, right? You can only provide the unique name. You cannot provide same name again, right? Create the program, provide the title of the program, and what type of program you need to use? Executable program, right? So we have other types of programs like include program, save it in the local object. And if you want a selection screen, define the selection screen using parameter option or select option. Or if you don't want to use any selection screen, just directly write the select statements. And what are the events we need to use in a report program? Initialization event. This is to pass default values to the selection screen inputs. Sorry, yeah, selection screen inputs and at selection screen. So this event is to validate the selection screen inputs. This event is to validate the selection screen inputs before executing the business logic. Start of selection is to display execute the business logic, whatever the business logic we implemented inside this event, and end of selection. So usually we use this event to display the output, right? To display the output. So initialization event is to validate the selection screen inputs. At selection screen event is to, sorry, initialization event is to display default values in the selection screen inputs. And at selection screen event is to validate the selection screen inputs, and start of selection event is for business logic, and end of selection just to display the output. So, so what is the table for material data? Mara, right? Mara is the table for material master data, where you have Matner as a primary key. I'll write a simple select statement to select the data from Mara, and let's take another table, MAKT. Material text is available in MAKT, right? If you go to text tables of Mara, you can see text table. Like in Mara, it just maintains the material number. But if you want to know what is that material number, what is the name of that material, right? In which table you need to check? Text table, that is MAKT, right? Let's join both tables. Select Mara, Matler. Matler is the field, right? Table name, tilde operator and the field name. And what are the other fields you need from Mara table? I'll copy few other fields. Since you are using join, you need to use table name with tilde operator, right? Or you can also use alias names like ABC. Whoever have some knowledge on DBMS, maybe basic SQL, any Oracle or any SQL, you can easily understand the ABAP select statements. So we are not using select star because it is always recommended to select only required fields instead of using select star. If you use select star here, what will happen? It will select all the fields from the table, right? There are 361 fields in the table. We are going to select all the fields, but it is always recommended to select only required fields, not to use select star, okay? To improve the performance of the data selection. And from MAKT table, MAKTX, material text, from Mara, tell me the next statement. Inner join, MAKT on, what is the join condition? Looks like you
Mappler is
already
Mappler is the
forgot
common key.
everything. MAKT. This is the common
Yeah.
key, right? Common field, right? Between both tables. So that's why we are using this this join condition. And what is the? I think we are not using any where condition into table. Select the data into local data object. LT underscore material. Right? We are defining the table and creating the table itself here. And just display the data. For that, we'll use CLDemo output display method. What type of method it is? Static method or instance method? Is this a static method or instance method? This display method.
Instance method.
Sorry,
Starting method.
Instance.
how can you say? How can you say it is an instance method? Are we creating any object? No, right? We are
No.
calling the class. We are calling the method using class reference. So these kind of methods we call as static methods, not the instance methods. For the instance methods, you need to create an instance. You need to create the object. With the object reference, you need to call the method. Now execute the program, F8 or click on this. So this is the output. This is the data we selected from the database, right? So the next session, we'll continue with the regular classes. Okay.